Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Nerdy Movie News Roundup, the show where we round up all of the latest news in the past week of nerdy movies. Um, got some interesting stuff to talk about today. Goosebumps has a show, we got a Nintendo Direct. Star Wars is threatening us with new movies. So much stuff. Let's get into the first topic. So, we got the Nintendo Direct. It was a bunch of games. Honestly, a bunch of stuff I kind of don't care about. It's like, okay, wow, you're like their big thing was you're releasing the Thousand Year Door on Switch. I guess it's an old game. Why am I really supposed to get that excited about it? But I don't know. There were two games that I thought looked kind of interesting. There's a Mario versus Luigi remake. I played one of the Mario versus wait, did I say Mario versus Luigi? It's Mario versus Donkey Kong. It's not Mario versus Luigi. But anyways, I played one of the Mario versus Donkey Kong games in on the DS, I believe. So this is a remake of the first one that I believe came out on like the either the Game Boy or the Game Boy Advance, and it looks like a cute little puzzle game where, you're not like platforming, or I guess you are kind of platforming, but it's really more so of a puzzle game of where you have to kind of like figure out how to get through the levels by solving these little puzzles. It looks pretty cute. I don't know. I think I might get this. The only thing is that I think they're charging like $50 for it, which is like, Jesus, this is a $30 game at most. So I guess I probably won't end up getting it, but I think it looks cute. um, and then we also showed off Princess Peach Showtime. I thought this game looked really cute. So basically, you're playing as Princess Peach, and she's going to like this play, and then there's a villain, the new villain. It's not Bowser, thankfully. That sort of ruins the Broadway play and takes over this museum where the play is taking place in. And so basically, each level, Princess Peach has to like act through the different play, and when she goes into different plays that she's acting through, she has to like wear like a different outfit. So there's like one play where she is like a sword fighter. So the mechanics surrounding that level is her fighting with a sword. There's another play where she has to dress up like a detective, and that level is going to be like a detective game. And then there's another level where she's like a baker. I don't know. It looks pretty varied and pretty fun. It kind of feels like it might be kind of like the latest Kirby game that came out. What is it called? Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, I think. That Kirby game was really great, and I think it would be sick if Peach, if they gave her like a really solid, a really well made game that she could call her own. Because the last Princess Peach game I think was Super Princess Peach, and that is wild that her game, like she had like different powers based on her emotions. Like how hysterical she got. That game was wild. You can look into that. But it's like hilarious. Like imagine if if that game came out today. Oh no. But yeah, this game looks cute. Then we also got there was a state of play. The only thing I really cared about from that was Spider-Man 2. And yeah, they showed off some of the open world mechanics of Spider-Man 2 and sort of what makes it a PS5 game versus the PS4 games like Spider-Man and Miles Morales. And basically it's just speed. So the glide suit and just how fast you're actually able to go apparently is like so fast that like it's way faster than the PS4 games, and the PS4 apparently wouldn't have been able to render the city if they allowed you to go as fast as you can in Spider-Man 2, so that's really cool. The fast travel mechanics also are apparently like you'll like say you want to fast travel somewhere on the map, and then the camera will like zoom into the map and just turn into the game, and Spider-Man is just immediately swinging, and it looks pretty impressive. Like I'm like, okay, yeah, I see where the PS5 nature of this is leading to. It is one of those things, though, where a lot of that stuff is, to some degree, a little superficial. And what I mean by that is, when you look at the game generally, it does just kind of look like more Spider-Man. It's like, okay, yeah, you got quick fast travel and you can swing faster, but nothing about this is screaming like this being like a super innovative sequel, which is okay. I was talking about in my reaction video that I did to this, where they're like, guys, the map is 2 times bigger because now you have Manhattan and Brooklyn to explore, and it's like, okay, I that's fine. Like I'm glad, but it's also like it's not like the most exciting thing of like, oh wow, more of New York. It's just one of those things where I was thinking about like conceptually, how much could you actually innovate a Spider-Man game? Because at the end of the day, I don't know that anybody really wants innovation in Spider-Man. It's like you can't exactly put Spider-Man in like a different city because then it wouldn't feel like Spider-Man. But then the other part of me is like, but what if you did? Like, what if you like dropped Spider-Man in like Latveria or something? Something wacky. Like, it doesn't have to be like another humans like real city. Like, it could be a wacky fictional Marvel city. So I don't know. I've been kind of like grappling of like, do I want Spider-Man to stay like faithful to the source material and only be in New York and in no other areas, or would it be cool if Spider-Man actually did innovate a bit and they did just drop him in a completely different environment? And then even more broad, after playing games like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and The Pathless, it's like my tolerance for the generic Ubisoft open world game is diminishing ever slightly. That being said, this is Spider-Man. I'm still gonna play it. I'm still gonna have a great time. So we'll see. All right, next up we have a Goosebumps official trailer. So I had no idea this show was coming out, but so this is gonna be a Goosebumps show on Disney Plus and Hulu. So that's an interesting release strategy. I wonder if it's also dropping on Hulu because maybe this show is maybe going to be a bit darker than your generic Disney Plus show. We'll see. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. It also might be because a lot of the non-Marvel and Star Wars shows on Disney Plus, I feel like have just been coming out to literally zero fanfare. Like, literally nobody cares. So I wonder if that's also part of it. But either way, I watched the trailer for it. It looks interesting. So it does seem like it's not going to be following sort of that OG Goosebumps show formula where it's an anthology show and every episode is adapting a different story. It does seem like it's going to be a show where it's one continuous plot and just a bunch of different elements of the Goosebumps universe are sort of being involved in it. Like, there's a bit in the trailer where they found Slappy. There's a bit in the trailer where they look at like the masks that from that one Goosebumps story about the masks. I don't remember the particulars of it. And there are a bunch of other elements that I didn't quite recognize, but I would imagine are probably from the Goosebumps books. So it's a storyline where a bunch of different elements from the Goosebumps universe are coming together. And so I never watched the Jack Black Goosebumps movies, but I remember I was just kind of turned off by it because it looked a little bit lighthearted. I wasn't a huge fan of the fact that it's not adapting any particular book, but it's just like throwing in a bunch of fan service, like, look, Slappy came out of a portal. Look, it's the wolf or whatever. And it's like, okay, whatever. I wasn't very interested in those movies because they just looked a bit, it looked like it wasn't even trying to be scary. This doesn't look like that, even though it is just kind of going like, look, it's Slappy, guys. Look, it's the masks. This show seems to be taking itself more seriously than the movies did. But I'm also saying that not very educated because I don't watch the Jack Black movies. Maybe they were terrifying. Maybe they were like really great. I don't know. So either way, I'm curious about the show. I think I'm going to give it a shot. Hopefully it like actually takes itself a bit more seriously because I don't know. I like the idea of making horror stuff that is genuinely kind of creepy for kids, but not so creepy that it's going to traumatize them. Like stuff like Coraline and kind of what it looks like what that Five Nights at Freddy's movie is maybe going to do. Because I don't know. I used to really like that content as a kid, like especially like the original Goosebumps show. And I feel like they just don't make that much of it anymore. But we shall see. All right. First, like proper news story, Bad Bunny is no longer going to be playing El Muerto. It's going to be from Variety. The WWE pedigree seemed suited to his casting in the title role of Marvel's El Muerto, a Spider-Man spin-off about a luchador whose mask imbues him with superhuman. Oh, why am I yawning? Strength. I'm dying. Sorry. But after languishing in production limbo, the studio pulled the project from its release calendar, crushing Martinez's dream role. Is that his dream role? When I asked him what happened, he hesitated. Or he hesitates. An awkward silence ripples across the table. Next question, asserts Sola, who's seated at an adjacent booth. I think that's Bad Bunny's like manager or whatever. I don't know what to say, Martinez replies, calling the issue delicate. Sola sharpens the point. Obviously, it's out, she says of the film. So yeah, this was actually an interview that Bad Bunny was having with the author of the article. So Bad Bunny's manager basically confirmed that he is out of the project. Technically, she kind of says that it's out, as in like that kind of indicates that maybe the movie in general isn't happening, but I'm not quite. We can't necessarily say that that's been confirmed, but Bad Bunny's definitely not playing the character, and I've always been against this idea. Not because I dislike Bad Bunny. Honestly, I don't have much of an opinion on Bad Bunny. I've never really seen anything he's been in. Apparently, he was good in Bullet Train, but I didn't watch that. So, but the inception of this project, this is what it was. The inception of this project wasn't, there's a screenwriter that said, hey, I have a really great idea for El Muerto. I'm going to pitch this movie to Sony. What it was Sony was like, hey, Bad Bunny, you're popular. We want to give you a movie. We want to give you a Marvel movie. Go tell us what you want. And then I'm guessing Bad Bunny was like, he just Googled Hispanic Spider-Man villains, and then El Muerto popped up, and he was like, sure, I guess. I'll pick this one. And then it was like, hey, Sony, I Googled Hispanic Spider-Man villains, and I found El Muerto. And Sony was just like, perfect. we'll do El Muerto. Like, it wasn't a project that was born out of any like art, like a director or a screenwriter's genuine desire to want to make it. And there's just I just don't feel like that's how good projects are born from. I guess. And yeah, like you should never. I'm sorry. I don't think you should ever make movies because you want actors to act. It's like you should be developing projects and then finding the right actor for it. I don't know. Just the conception of this movie is against everything. It's like representative of like everything wrong with Hollywood these days. But either way, I don't know. I wish no ill will on this Bad Bunny person. Hopefully he finds roles that are good for him and he develops as an actor. There we go. Positive spin. Next story. Scorpion is apparently coming back soon or something. So this is my time to shine. Hello. He's like a scooper guy on the internet. So, he's not the most reputable source, but we could pay attention to some of the stuff he tweets out. And yeah, he says, guess who's coming back? That's right. Scorpion finally. So, bit vague. We don't know exactly like what that means or when he's coming back, but there is a Spider-Man 4 in development. So that would be an ideal movie. Maybe he's like in Venom 3 or something. I don't know. Maybe he was supposed to be in El Muerto. Well, unfortunately, that's no longer happening. But I don't know, like, would he pop up in like some other random like Marvel movie? Like, would he pop up in like Deadpool 3 or Thunderbolts? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how much Sony is necessarily letting their like Sony doesn't really let their characters appear in other MCU movies. It's kind of weird. It's like generally speaking, Spider-Man characters will appear in the MCU Spider-Man movies, and as well as making like cameos in the Sony Spider-Man movies, but you never really see like a Vulture showing up in an Iron Man movie. And I don't know, like that's just not really something that happens. So we'll see. Bit of a vague tweet. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens from that. All right, next up, uh, so Taika hasn't written a Star Wars script yet. That's coming from CBR. In a clip shared by Variety, Waititi gave a disappointing update while referencing Levy's upcoming Star Wars movie, saying, "Unlike me, let's hope he manages to finish a script for that." So I probably should have put these put these topics in the opposite order, but he was basically at like some kind of award show, and he was talking about Sean Levy, and he basically revealed that he was congratulating Sean Levy for making his Star Wars movie, and he basically revealed that he still doesn't have his script written, which is just ridiculous. Because I feel like they announced Taika Waititi was making a Star Wars movie like in 2019 or 2020, and it's like, bro, you don't have a script yet. Like, what are we doing here? What is happening? I just, it's so weird. How is Lucasfilm hiring these people, and how are they not going like, hey man, I was hired to make a Star Wars movie, I'm gonna make it. Like, Taika Waititi is doing all these other random movies and stuff, and I'm like, you were hired to make a Star Wars movie. Like, what's the holdup? Like, I can understand not having having a script written, and then the production side of things on Lucasfilm's front is backlogged because they're incompetent. But it's like, you don't have a script written? What? I don't. And I realize that we've been on a writer's strike for a while now, but I would have assumed that he would have had his script written before the writer's strike began. So I'm at the point where I think I'm ready to put Taika Waititi's movie in the same camp as like the Rian Johnson Star Wars trilogy and the Benioff and Weiss Star Wars movie, like just the Patty Jenkins Rogue Squadron movie. It's like, yeah, these are projects that are just never gonna see the light of day. I'm ready to put Taika Waititi's project in that camp because this is just ridiculous. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we actually doing? And then, so he was referencing Sean Levy's Star Wars movie. This is coming from CBR. We were just starting the process of developing my movie, and the writer's strike happened, Levy said. So we are in that holding pattern that so much of our industry is in. Oh my gosh, sorry. Yeah, so it seems like Sean Levy's Star Wars movie is in much better shape than the Taika Waititi movie. Like, it seems like his movie is like, once the writer strike ends, like, they're gonna go full force on it, and hopefully that's the case. I mean, Sean Levy's just kind of popping off. You know, he's making Free Guy, he's making Deadpool 3. You know, he directs a bunch of episodes of Stranger Things. I believe he's directing some of the episodes of the Star Wars what is it called? Skeleton Crew as well. Like, he's just kind of popping off right now, and he's making stuff. So I know it is foolish for anyone to presume that a Star Wars movie will ever be made, another one, but I think his movie is gonna happen. Like, if Sean Levy was hired to make a Star Wars movie, it just feels like, yeah, it's probably gonna get made because this guy is just kind of popping off in Hollywood. Is he making the best movies? Maybe not, but you know, Free Guy wasn't exactly the best thing that I've ever seen. But I'm just saying that I imagine that this movie will end up happening in like a reasonable amount of time. Like, it'll just have a normal development cycle. That's just the vibe that I get from a guy like Sean Levy. But who knows at the end of the day? Truly, who does know? All right, speaking of Deadpool 3, apparently there's some rumors that Daphne Keane is going to be in it. It's coming from Can We Get Some Toast? Kind of in the same vein of My Time to Shine Hello. He's just a random scooper guy, so we can't take this too seriously. This isn't Variety or anything, but we'll engage with it anyways because there isn't a ton of news this week. Sources have newly confirmed that Marvel went into negotiations with Daphne Keane right before the strikes started to bring her back as a grown-up Laura Kinney slash X-23 in Deadpool 3. They anticipated the strikes and are hoping schedules line up once the studios pay actors and writers fairly, which lines up with Sean Levy saying Deadpool 3 was halfway through filming. It's not a significant role. Expect it more to be a cameo. So I think this would be neat. They're already kind of ruining the sanctity, or they've already ruined the sanctity of Logan, right? Because Patrick Stewart showed up in Multiverse of Madness. Hugh Jackman is showing up in Deadpool 3. It's like, because I used to be of the camp of like, no, Logan was such an incredible conclusion to Hugh Jackman's Wolverine run that it should really just stand alone. Blah, 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 blah. But it's like, whatever. Who cares at this point? Daphne Keane, I think she's really great. I thought she was awesome in that movie. Bring her back. Why not? Give her the little claw coming out of her foot or something. Isn't that what X-23 does? Do it. Who cares? I don't care. So I think it'll be fun. And I think it probably will happen because Deadpool 3 is a wacky multiverse movie. Because, I mean, to be fair, Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman, they didn't come back as those iterations of those characters. They came back as other variants. So it doesn't mean anything. Like, it still ruins the sanctity of Logan. But it's not going to be like those exact same iterations of those characters. So, yeah, sure. Why not? I'll buy it. All right, next up. Apparently Gotham Knights is coming to Switch. It's coming from Video Games Chronicle. Gotham Knights has been rated for a Nintendo Switch, suggesting an announcement could be imminent. The game, which was released originally for the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series consoles last year, could be headed to the Nintendo system following a rating from the ESRB, the rating board that covers North America. This seems weird because Gotham Knights, I think, only released on next-gen consoles, and it didn't even run well on next-gen consoles. So I literally cannot fathom it coming to the Switch. The only way I feel like that would be possible is if it's like a cloud version. And my God, I can't think of a more sadder product. I cannot think of a more pathetic product than Gotham Knights, than a cloud version of Gotham Knights. That just seems sad. So I have some respect for yourself, Warner Brothers. Okay? Just bury Gotham Knights. It happened. We don't have to think about it again. Don't continue to sully the sanctity of this game by just putting out this like money grab cloud version because you just desperately want to make more money off of it. Like, just let it go. Just let it go. But I don't know. To be fair, I've never played any of these like cloud games because I think like stuff like Control and like some of the Resident Evil games have like cloud versions of them on the Switch. I don't know how well those run. So I don't know. Maybe it is like a valid way to play games. But to be honest, I don't think there exists a valid way to play Gotham Knights. Should be avoided at all costs, if you ask me. All right, next up we have last story of the day. There is a Lando movie coming, apparently. So it's come from Variety. News broke in July that Donald and Steven Glover had been tapped by Disney and Lucasfilm to replace Justin Simien as the writers of a new Lando television series on Disney Plus. But not so fast. The project is actually being developed as a Lando movie. Lucasfilm confirmed to Variety. So, yeah, apparently the Lando show is going to be a movie, and I mean, listen, this is coming from Variety, reputable source, blah, 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 blah. Really? Like, Solo bombed. Solo is the only Star Wars movie to have bombed. I don't know, maybe that like animated Clone Wars movie, but you know what I mean. It is the only major Star Wars film to have bombed. You're gonna do a spin-off of that in a Lando movie? I mean, here's the thing. It's being written by Donald Glover and his brother, so I imagine it'll be good. So like, don't get me wrong, I'd like to see that. Like, that sounds like a good time, and like I'd be excited for it. I just don't know if I believe that Lucasfilm would do that. I, I mean, okay, I guess here's a possibility, right? Maybe it's great. Like I'm like, the fact that this is even would even be considered tells me that Donald Glover must have given them like an incredible pitch. He probably has the script written, and maybe it's like genuinely incredible. So I feel like that's the only way that it would even be like considered. But beyond that, maybe another thing is maybe the budget is like scaled way back because I think due to like like production difficulties or like the solo movie was kind of had a tortured production where like the initial directors were fired and then there was a new director that was brought on and they basically had to like reshoot the whole movie. I think that movie ended up having like a production budget of like over $200 million. Maybe they go into a Lando movie and it's like, hey, we can make this movie for like $70 million, right? Because Lando isn't necessarily like going out on like hardcore adventures. Like he doesn't have to be that, right? It could be like it could be like a more grounded movie. We can make this thing for like $70 million, maybe. But even still, I just don't know if I believe it. But I'd like to be wrong because I like Donald Glover and I like him as Lando, and I'd like to see it happen. I just don't know if it will. But yeah, let me know what you think in the. Oh yeah, and then there's also just the other element of not believing that any Star Wars project is happening just in general until my ass is in the theater and I see the opening crawl. But even then, it's like I've seen 5 episodes of Ahsoka, but did I actually see 5 episodes of Ahsoka? Did Ahsoka actually come out? I don't know if I can say for certain. I genuinely don't. So, anyways, let me know what you think about any and all of that in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.